And good evening and welcome to City Focus. I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and tonight I'm delighted to bring back my friend and yours, Mr. New London, Mike McLaughlin. So Mike, welcome back.
I feel very overwhelmed here by the shirt you got on, Marty. Marty, for TV, usually when we do radio and football games, who cares what we look like? But that shirt is very spectacular.
Well, thank
you.
you.
So I'm glad I'm here with you because you bring in some class to this.
Well, I do my best. Tonight, I think Mike and I were talking on the way over about how what we'd like to open with, and I think legacy is a good word, don't you think?
Oh, without a doubt. I couldn't have said any better, because if somebody could fulfill the three people that we're going to talk about, and maybe the fourth that you just mentioned, legacy, this town would be much better for it.
So we have recently lost Jim O'Connor.
Yes.
Somebody that you know. I have to admit that I don't know Jim O'Connor, but the other two, Gil Vargas and Jim Bunacore, I certainly knew exceptionally well.
And we should also mention, we're going to do it because he was an integral part of high schools and stuff like that. Dickie O'Neill, who was Jimmy O'Neill's younger brother.
Yep.
He happened to pass, and it's a situation where when you take those people, the effect they had. Jimmy lived in Waterford. He lived right next door to my daughter. And, but he was in New London as New London could be. He taught in Groton, but you didn't know that. He played for New London High School. He played for UConn. He was captain of UConn's basketball team. He played in the City League, which you old people who are old like me know, okay, was a big time thing. New London played Fitch every year at the field right up by Burger King in New London. And then, boom, you go home and eat Thanksgiving dinner, and then you went to Ocean Beach to see
the opening of the
City League, which had unbelievable plays, because there weren't as many pro players at that time. So Jimmy was a very good player. He played for the Lincoln Oilers. He played all kinds, and he's a very educated man. He's got master's degree, teaching certificates, everything like that. And he's going to be missed, because one of the things he did was he taught in Groton. He did a lot of his religious stuff in Waterford. And there wasn't a town that he did not get to try to involve with the kids. And he'll be buried tomorrow at St. Paul's. And I just hope that the place is packed beyond belief, because he was that good a person.
Well, I think that's well stated, and thank you.
Oh, why not thank him? Because I'll tell you, he was something. And now you get to some of the ones we both know. So I think we should do this alphabetically.
Well, we've got a B and a V.
Yeah.
So if we're doing it alphabetically, I guess we'll go with the senior member, and that's Coach Jim Bunacore.
And he was the older member. And you talk about what he did for this area and how he helped this area and what he did for the kids in New London and what he did to bring the prominence to New London football. He played at a small school in Alabama. He played for the Rhode Island. I can't remember what it is, but that was a semi-pro.
It was a semi-pro team.
Steamrollers.
Steamrollers.
Oh, yes. Okay. He coached at Fitch. He coached at New London. He coached at NFA for a tad. But where he made his big thing was in London. And I've known him. I knew of him. But what really is thrilling about his coaching career is that when he won his first state championship in 1983, that was the first year I started doing high school football on the radio. So can you imagine your first year you get a state championship game? And that was a
terrific team.
Oh, Jackie Cochran, who obviously, if you don't know who he is, you've been in a time warp somewhere. What he does for kids is unbelievable. What he did for the guy that just got put, the defensive end for the Baltimore Colts, who just got put in the Football Hall of Fame.
That was a Bloomfield High there.
Yeah. And he helped him out. And I always remember when Jack was telling me a story when he was going to get drafted in the NFL, not Jack, but the kid, and I'll think of his name in a couple of minutes. But
played for the Colts.
Yes, he did in the defensive end. And when he said to the teams that wanted to sign him, because he was drafted very highly by the Colts. Well, you got to talk to my coach first. Well, okay, he played at Syracuse. We'll go see Ben Swalswilder. Imagine I can remember Swalswilder's name, but I can't remember that guy. And he said, "You got to see." No, he said, "You got to see my coach Corcoran." And I was thinking. And he had, the other kid who played tight end forever for the Washington Redskins. And
Jordan Reed.
Yes, and his brother David, who played at a Super Bowl for the Baltimore Colts, and but he had him. He had Danny Vendetta, as I said, the bail bondsman. He had Juan Roman, Mr. Beautiful.
Was on that team.
Yes, it was. They only gave up 42 points the whole year. Many of it was when other people weren't, they were not in the game. And there were many, many people. And then Bunicor had other champions. He beat, imagine this, Mr. Bunicor beat Ansonia twice in the state championship game, and nobody beats Ansonia. And he just did each and everything good. He was a PE teacher. When they built the pool at the New London High School, he was part of that. And he did so many things for so many of the people in this town. And, he wasn't a bad baseball player either. People didn't know that. But
Well, he also coached the girls' softball team
yes,
at the
he
high
did.
school.
Yes, he did.
So he coached the boys and the girls.
Yep.
And he had success with both, I might add.
Yes. And, look at how successful his children are. A couple of
I had the privilege, I might add, that I played on Coach Bunicor's first team.
Okay.
I was a sophomore, and that was in 69, fall of 69.
Yes.
And I started at left guard as a sophomore, and I had two seniors on either side of me, Rich Foy, who was a center,
Of course.
and Ronnie Maggi was a left tackle.
Two are nice guys and two superior players.
Yeah. So they helped make sure that the young kid
Knew what he was doing.
that what I was doing, and helped guide me through the maze.
Because Richie had a way that if you weren't in the right spot, he knew how to put you there. And it was a great book. The book Richie Foy wrote about his father, Bill, who was the principal of London High School for a number of years, of when his plane crashed and over the Philippines. Is an unbelievable book to read, especially if you're involved with New London and stuff like that. So Richie did that. And but Mr. Bunicor, he just kept winning and winning, and he has close to 200 victories. And for a football coach, that's a lot. And he's as good a football coach, and he was a good guy too. See, what happens with most of the people in New London, and these guys that just were on prior to us, sometimes we don't understand the people in New London. The New Londoners understand them, but other people don't. But Mr. Bunicor was an exceptionally good guy, and I'm proud to say that I know him. And we're trying, Marty, and I need your help, because these are the things that young Jim will help me with everything in the world. Well, when I say, how about an award for your father, it's stuff for him. I'm thinking of maybe we can give a nice, huge trophy or something to the most outstanding player in the ECC next year. Not each division, but all divisions combined. And name it the James Bunicor thing. And I'll go through, because I remember the last time I tried to do something like this is when you go down to Toby May Field and you see the basketball courts, you'll see the stone figure, and you'll see everything of James Johnson.
James Johnson's court.
Yeah, and it took me forever to get it named him, through the city council.
I was on council at the time.
Yeah, you did. You helped me. But if I wouldn't have you, it probably didn't know him. And I had to go 3 or 4 times there. I had to go to the rec department, but we got the courts named after James Johnson. But so again, and maybe I want to do something. The reason I bring that up, I want to do something with Mr. Bunicor too. Now, the one you know better.
Well, we've got Gil Vargas.
Yes.
And when I started playing ball back in the late 60s, Gil was the assistant coach, football coach, and he was the defensive coordinator for Coach Bunicor. And so that was my introduction really to Coach Vargas. He became the head baseball coach at New London.
Oh, yes.
It may have been about the same time, because Salamonte was and that transitioned when I was in high school, and I don't recall if I was a freshman or sophomore, but
Yep.
and Gil was as a football and baseball coach as a young man. He was a drill sergeant. He was tough.
You had no problem hearing him.
No. But he wanted his players to toe the line and to hustle, and if you didn't want to do it his way, he was very comfortable seeing you move along because he didn't want any disruptions to what he was trying to do.
I mean, if you talk about success, if you look at the success he had on the football field, you look at Gilvargis, you look at the success he had on the baseball diamond, and you look at the success he had with Roger Bidwell over the University of Connecticut, Avery Point, where they would go to the national championship games, or at least the semifinals, every year in the junior college. I mean, that was like what you could really call, he was a winner. Everything he did, he was a winner. And he was very knowledgeable, and there was no question you didn't hear what he said. And that's what made him, kind of special. But, and that's a situation where, it seems like it's strange that three people who made such contributions to our communities for kids. I mean, it's not something where these are for kids. Each one of the Jimmy O'Connor, James Bunicor Sr., and Gilvargis were for kids. And that's the whole thing about it. This is where sometimes the things are lacking a little bit, because there's no one like these three guys that take the kids, say, hey, wait a minute, this is not what we do here. This is how we do it, and you're going to go on to this scholarship, or you're going to go on to this. If you look at the people that Gilvargis helped put in college from Avery Point, or from baseball, football, or James Bunicor from the other one, and it's a whole situation. So they were very, very community-oriented people, and they will be lost because it's going to take someone to rise to a big occasion to replace them.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, after Coach Vargas retired as baseball coach at New London, the success kind of, they went on a slide. It's been for a pretty extended period of time.
Until this year?
And baseball in general in New London is not what it was when we were growing up. But, this year they had a nice close to the season with Matt Green, young Matt Green, coaching.
The Judge's son, yeah.
And Matt played for Coach Vargas.
He played for us at Avery Point, too.
And he played for Roger Bidwell.
Yeah.
And he's taken the mantle at New London, and he got them into the state tournament, and they won it. I saw them win against, who was it, Newington, I believe.
Yes. But see, the hard thing for Matt is Matt cares about New London. Matt cares about the situation at New London. Matt is a New Londoner. Not the father, yes, but we're talking about the son now. And it becomes a situation, to instill that into the kids, it's not as easy as it used to be. Okay? But when you do it, the results are fantastic. So look for New London. But I mean, to me, and this is no reflection on Mr. Orby, the AD, but who is the new football coach?
I don't know.
Can you imagine that, Monty? You who played all those years football, you who go to almost every game, you who do this, you who announce all the games with me, and it's an unbelievable situation. You would think that there'd be one guy in New London, somebody from here, that would say, I want the green and I want the gold. But what do? I don't get to hire them.
No, well, they haven't consulted with me on those hires either, but we like to see success. And I got to tell you, you mentioned the upcoming season. Last year I had the privilege and pleasure of working with you on, 3 or 4 ball games.
At least, yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it immensely.
Except for the
I
fish.
hope that opportunity will avail itself again this season.
If we're doing it and they ask me, I'm going to ask for you. So we're going to, but I hope we get better weather than we did the last game we did, which was Thanksgiving.
That was
Fitch
a
and
miserable day with cold and rain. And
I didn't even want them to give out the trophies I had brought over because the poor kids would get soaked.
That day, I think there must have been less than 50 people there. for Thanksgiving game because of the weather.
When you talk about Timmy Burrows, and he's the person who gives us the privilege and the honor to do this, how about his son pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates now?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, is he going to all their games?
I haven't.
Or his son when his son is pitching?
I would imagine he is, because I haven't heard from him for a while. So and he's always very receptive to the thing. But I'm so proud of him because his son had hurt his arm and then he came back. And Timmy, I remember when I think he played for University of New Haven, led the nation in doubles for Division II. So he was a decent player too. And the Burrows is all were good players. And see, this is the thing that you try to sing. I mean, it's amazing. If we would have researched this, and we probably need a 5-hour show, we're not going to get it tonight. But anyhow, if you were to research a lot of these people, you would find that a lot of the people who were outstanding at Waterford or East Lyme or Fitch or anything have some background of something with New London. Where their uncle went there, their cousins went there, things along that line.
Well, up through the 60s and into the 70s, I mean, New London was still kind of the center of the Southeastern Connecticut universe.
Well, up until...
you might even argue it still is, but it's different.
Yeah. But I remember that when I went to high school in New London, and we started, I think, 61, that there was no Montville High, because all the kids went there. There was no Legend High. They all went to Fitch and NFA. And there was no East Lyme High School. They all went to New London. And it's amazing, because Waterford, Quaker Hill had two groups of people passing by there in the Montville thing. You go there. And it was a situation where the traditions got built up and all of the other stuff like that. And I mean, like on the class I had Billy McCarthy, who was a great baseball pitcher. He was a 1,000-point basketball player. He was a one-year football player, okay? And he got a full scholarship to North Carolina to play football. You had Louis Bertrell, who didn't go to college, who was a tremendous police person until he got not killed, but died in Waterford. And you had Bobby Martin, who went on to be a judge, who was as tough as you could ever be. You had Billy Foy, who went and played Amherst, and and like I said, and Dave Connors, whose father started all of this stuff here, and he just made one mistake in his career. He decided to go to Purdue, and at the same time, Bob Greasy decided to go to Purdue.
Well, see, that's one of the interesting dynamics of that era.
Yeah.
Where you've got Connors, who was terrific, and his father. I think his father had dreams of the NFL and.
Or to be all he wanted.
And a Big Ten position would have maybe given him that.
Yeah, but
opportunity.
You know why he really went to Purdue, though? Allegedly, according to people who know his father very well, he wanted Dave to play for Notre Dame, and Notre Dame did not offer him a scholarship. So he said, I'm going to send him to a school that can beat Notre Dame that plays him in Purdue. But Bob Greasy was going to. But Dave ended up playing at Wake Forest, you know what I mean? But he played, he was a very good athlete because in baseball, Johnny Ellis played not behind him, but couldn't catch because Dave did. Johnny Ellis was a quarterback when he came in from Michigan. He had to play running back, and and the other things along that line. Johnny Ellis was, talk about athletes.
He was a load.
Yeah, played for the Yankees. I used to love going to Yankee Stadium to see Johnny Ellis play. Yeah. But these are the things, and see, all this stuff dawned on me when I listened to the two previous guys who did a marvelous job talking about things of how they are in the London, and I think about how it was. And you do, because we have lived in New London for years. You've always lived in the 5th Ward. I finally got there, but But the saddest thing what do you think the saddest thing about New London is? And this is no reflection on the young man, is that we have a person from Groton who is our state representative for the district.
Oh, for our district, yeah. And basically, it's always been that way.
Yeah, because you ran for Waterford. Yeah.
I never ran for that office. I wanted to one time, many years ago, but the Groton folks were less than enthused.
Yeah, Waterford had it for a while. And I'm not saying
That's
any.
when Janet Polinsky was.
Yeah. I'm not saying a reflection on the young man, because he's a very gifted guy, but you would think, because Nolan does a good job down the other end, but you would think they could have two from New London, you know what I mean? But what do I know? That's why I'm the only Democrat in the history of New London to lose an election.
Well, that's not true.
Oh, I'll bet there aren't many of us. We couldn't have a party.
There have not been many Democrats that have lost, and there's not many Republicans that have won.
Yeah. But you won when you were on the city council and other places like that, Board of Education.
I'm batting 500, Michael.
That's okay.
I've run 10 times, and I've won 5.
If Soto could make all the money he makes playing baseball, batting about 280, if you're batting 500, you should be doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But when you think about all these different things and how they're going on, and I think what I'd like to bring it in, because we have some pictures we're going to show of the thing tonight, of the opening, not opening, but a quasi-opening where people could live.
Community center down the Fort Trumbull area, and when Drew is ready, he'll get them up on the screen, and we'll get a chance to get a look at the new facility. Here we go.
Yeah.
I was working today, so I was unable to eat. So this will be a little something new for me as well.
Yeah, that's how it's going to look. It doesn't look that way correct right now, but it's an interesting concept that they have, and how they're doing it. And people are complaining, people are not complaining, and you know what I mean, and the other things along that line. So some people are welcoming it with open arms. Some people are having some issues about it. And unfortunately for you and I, whatever our concerns are, we usually don't get to say, because everybody's too busy telling us what they think. But
well, it's a pretty large facility.
Oh yeah. Well, I heard a rumor, and I hope it's true, that the basketball courts were named after Tyson Wheeler.
Well,
Yeah. And then you've got some meetings, and they've got a major full court right there, and then they've got 2 other full courts that go to the side. Yeah. And they have swimming pools and recreation-built rooms. And
well, with the renovation of New London High School, we had a pool, and that pool was taken out. So
yes,
so this is now the pool.
Yeah, the late Mr. Bunico used to be in charge of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's I don't know. There's Mr. Pastro. It's a good thing that it's here.
Bill Stanley.
Yep. And you never know what's going to happen. It'll be here for a while, okay? And
well, it'll outlive you and I think.
Oh, I would hope so. I would just hope that New London was in charge of it when we're alive.
Well, right now they've outsourced the operations to a firm from the Midwest, Michigan, I think.
Indiana,
okay, but
I only know because I went down and talked to them. There's one of the basketball courts, and no, it'll be good. And because just think, we used to have Bartlett, the building there where everybody played basketball and everybody played pickleball.
The Bartlett courts, which used to be the big courts for all the big time players in New London when I was a young boy.
Yeah.
That was taken out by the firehouse.
Yeah. But on the Bartlett courts on July 29th, Deacon Charles Hilton is running his tournament again. Okay, and it's a wonderful thing where they have boys teams. And he says if women want to play, they can have their own team and play against whatever, the men, or play on men's teams that do the other things. And he would have called us tonight, but he had a Bible study, so he couldn't. But we're going to have some meetings on that. But it's the 29th. They're looking for teams. Okay, it's a nice occasion. There's food trucks go up there. They have 2 courts running. It's a nice situation. It's right next to where Marty just said the fire department is.
Yeah.
So
well, they've got these photos of
Rajay
a number
Davis
of our local athletic
David
standouts, and many of them are hanging up at the high school, at the gymnasium.
Yeah, and many more should have been, because Mr. Bjornkar had a whole mess of them, and for some reason they didn't get up there. But I mean, when you look at David Reed, he played for us for a couple of years, and he played in the Super Bowl for the Baltimore Colts, And then you had the other one, Rajay Davis, who's obviously one of the nicest person I've ever met. He played with us over at Avery Point, and he went on with the Pittsburgh, and then he hit that home run in the 6th game of the World Series. Rajay
If the
Davis.
Indians had won the series, he would have been a heck of a lot more notoriety.
But you know what the thing was? There was a restaurant, and I'll let it nameless. But Rajay brought.
Why? It's Crown Pizza.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go to Crown Pizza. No, but anyhow, and they had a little thing that everybody rubbed. So for the World Series, Rajay brought it in there, and when he hit the home run, he went in and rubbed it, and they got the advertisement from it, and all of a sudden.
Well, they also had an interview, national interview, and he had the Crown Pizza hat next to him.
Yeah, and he had to. Next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. They bought to build a little place next to them and so forth like that. So they've had to play, and Rajay was one of the guys. Well, when you look at that, you look at Rajay played for us. We had Albert Avery Point. We had Walker, okay.
Pete Walker from East Lyme.
Yeah.
And John McDonald.
And Pete Walker is the pitching coach for the
Toronto Blue
Jays. And then we had another guy who is now the hitting coach for the Chicago White Sox. He just got the job. And there was a couple others that played some Major League Baseball too. But Rajay Davis was unbelievably fast person.
He was a gamble. He was like a 22nd round pick.
Yes, he was.
And not many make it from that far back. And he was drafted by the Pirates.
Yes, he was.
And I think he broke in with the Pirates, and then shortly thereafter, because he bounced around a little bit, but he
went to
Athletics,
and he went to the Indians to finish. But he's a better person than he was a player. Rajay Davis, I can only say some of the most unique things about him, of how good he was. I mean, and I think that if one of our players who could have really made it to the majors was a Turney, if he could have, not he, because he didn't make the decision, but if he could have been changed from a shortstop to a catcher, the Major League scouts were checking him out every minute, okay, because he batted like 500 for us.
Yeah.
He went to play for Southern, and they had played in the World Series Division II, so he was a good player. The Turney family in Montville are very good players. But this is the thing that when you think about it, when you think about how blessed these athletes have been around here to play for Jimmy Bunicor, to play for Jack Cochran, to play for Gil Vargas, to play for Roger Bidwell, okay, to play for many of the basketball coaches, Ralph Ruggiero, and some of the other people that you had there. And
going back to when I was a very young boy, Richie Conover.
Richie Conover.
Stand-up guy and terrific coach.
And a great player at Syracuse. I mean, he was, and that was the thing. And because every Sunday at church I'll see Jack Barkley, and he played for Niagara, and the different things like that of the kids we had that used to play. And the big deal it was when New London played. When New London played Westerly, it was like the game of the world, I think, and when New London would play only the super teams and everything like that, they would play New Haven teams. They would play Hartford Buckley, Hartford Public, all the teams along that line, the CDC. And you all went to the place, and I don't want to forget this, but after every game in Hartford, what was the hot dog place you went? It's right
Augie's
next. Augie and Ray's.
East Hartford, right next to Pratt.
And right next to where the UConn football stadium is.
Nearby, yep.
Yep. But that was good to see that. And to see the people who were involved with it. Okay, I hope our talking didn't distract you people from looking, but it's hard when you're on a show for a limited period of time to be quiet for pictures to go on. But Monty, if you could change, okay, let's do this because I feel like something tonight. Okay, if you could change one thing in New London, what would you change?
The charter.
Okay, and can we further that?
Huh?
What would you change?
Well, I think that the electorate in London deserves an opportunity, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, regarding department heads in New London by the charter are supposed to live in London.
Yes.
And many of ours don't.
Well,
They never will.
You
And
don't
it's
want
not-
to
it's-
change
it's-
that, though.
It's not enforced. Well, the thing is that if the mayor feels so strongly
That we should, not the mayor, I'm not saying we should change the mayor, but people should have to follow the charter, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is that if the mayor feels this strongly that living here is not important, let the electorate vote on it and sell what you think. And he's afraid to, because I think the community would support our position that they should live here.
Let me ask you a question, because you're a good mathematician. What do you think if every department head lived in New London? You think it'd have a major effect on taxes? Because they'd all have nice houses, they'd all have things.
I think that you'd see a more attention to detail, because it would directly impact their own living conditions. It's not like they're going home to Brantford or our economic development guy, Felix Reyes, lives down north of Bridgeport.
Yeah, Norfolk or someplace.
And our finance director's in Groton Long Point. I'm trying to think. Our public works director for years has lived in Canterbury. I believe he has moved into New London to one of the new apartment buildings, but it's taken him the better part of 10 years to make that switch.
Yeah, because see, I don't understand why. I mean, if you really wanted to follow the rule, you could just get yourself an apartment here and be living here and have your house wherever you went to.
Our police chief lives in North Stonington. Yeah. I don't know where our fire chief lives. Our past number of fire chiefs have lived in New London. Henry Kidd and Chief Sam.
Oh, I remember Henry Kidd used to yell at me all the time because he lived next door to my mother, because we put a basket on a big telephone pole. But he was a very nice man. He's a very nice man. But I mean, and you look at the things.
Yeah, our superintendent of schools lives in Old Lyme.
Yes. Okay, but you know, and these are the type of situations that you deal with. I mean, because towns with tradition, and when John Winthrop Jr. came here in 1636, it was one of the first. His father had Massachusetts Bay Colony. He came down, had this and some other ones. It was one of the first of the colonies that were one in New England, if not the East Coast, if further than, because they didn't have anything in the Midwest or on the West Coast then. So I mean, this thing has been here. I mean, and when you look at our situation, we have 3 colleges, and we have Mitchell, we have Connecticut College, and we have a very unique situation in the Coast Guard Academy. We have an electric boat on our property. We have another electric boat right across the river. Okay, we have Pfizer's just across the river. We have the submarine bay. We have so many assets here that it seems like we should be, for a town of 30,000, we should be.
Well, New London itself has got no pun intended, but a boatload of assets.
Yeah.
That we seem to have a propensity to stumble and bumble our way through, and in many instances, different folks, they don't play well together. I mean, we've got a significant amount of our own little historical sites.
Oh yeah.
And we should be cobbling together. Well, Boston has its Freedom Trail.
True.
And New London, we should be having our Whaler Trail, or whatever you want to call it.
We were going to have something where they were going to build a walkway through, some of the parking lots and stuff at the dead, but I don't think that either got finished or it was to be completed.
I mean, there are some markings in front of some buildings, but I mean, we don't promote it. But I mean, we've got, the ancientest burial ground, and you've got the town mill.
Yes.
And we have the courthouse.
Shaw Mansion.
Shaw Mansion. We have the
Tony D's
Custom House. We have Fort Trumbull. O'Neill's boyhood home.
Yes.
And, it just, there's enough things to do amongst those sites where you could package a half day or a day trip here, walking tours, and make that where people make New London a destination, because nobody's going to come to visit Nathan Hale Schoolhouse itself.
No. Not the one that's up by the Coast Guard. We're talking about the red one.
Yes.
And that's the whole situation. And I found the recreation department 2 years ago wanted me to teach people, the young kids, about New London. So we would have a couple of hours of that a day, you know, because they didn't want to do it all day because it wasn't going to be school again. And the people in Nathan Hale, some of the kids, many of them did not have any idea who Nathan Hale was, even with that beautiful bus they have there. They had no idea who Winthrop was.
Even with the statue up by the, what used to be the Buckley School, now it's the
Magnet School or
Regional Magnet School.
Yeah. Or did they know where the Coast Guard Academy was? And so, I mean, and I think we should be promoting this within ourselves, because I've been to colleges all over, and I've always been proud of the fact that I went to New London High School. I've always been fact that I was from New London. When people would say to you, well, where do you live and why, you know, I mean, it's never been a major concern of mine, and I've lived in both sides of New London. I'm living better now than I did before, but that was just because of how situations were. And no, I've always been proud to be in New London, and I don't see that a lot. It's like, you know, and many of the people from Waterford, their grandparents started in New London, and when they got a raise at Electric Boat, they moved to Waterford, or they moved to...
The exodus of many of the folks you're alluding to, this was promulgated by urban renewal.
Yes.
Where folks lost their homes, and ironically at the time, London was the high real estate market, and as close as Waterford is, that was at 40, 50, 60 years ago, pretty rural. It was rural.
Yes.
You know, Montville, farmland.
Oh, yes.
You know, East Lyme, farmland.
Yeah.
And so that property was cheaper, and folks moved out.
Yeah. Well, I see a lot of people that I remember when they got their first supervisor job at EB, moved up to Riverside Park area and built those houses up there. But then again, when they got promoted a second time, they left those houses and moved, like you said, to a more less costly area which they lived.
One thing I wanted to just shift gears a little bit here to a place that you spend a fair amount of time at, and I know you like to walk the boardwalk at Ocean Beach Park. What's the status of the boardwalk down there after that car went through it?
Most of the situations that you ask about, everybody has their own opinion, and there is no general idea coming forth, okay?
Is it repaired? Is it?
I haven't been there much since then because I've been doing some other stuff that I had to get completed. I will be going down here just to check on some of the kids' camps and some of the other things like that. And I will go see my buddy Jeff Mullins, who runs the rides, and he will have...
He works his tail off down there.
He will have exactly what happened, how it happened, what it is, the whole thing like that. And you know, and he's a good man. He was, and people don't realize he was an ex-assistant football coach at UConn. He coached at Griswold, and I'll never forget him. For some reason, I don't know, I must have been doing something of a more regional nation, because when he was at Griswold, they were playing American School for the Deaf. And Jeff was trying to call those plays out and be as quiet as they can. And I said to him, Jeff, I said, they can't hear. I said, you can scream, you know. But Jeff was an excellent buddy of Lou Allen's and Tommy Major. And there's a guy that I really think, and I hope it doesn't cost Mr. Major, because I say this, but if you're going to name that recreation building after somebody, you better have Tommy Major as the person
I concur.
choosing.
I think a lot of folks in the community as well.
I hope we get to express it in a vote, and rather than Jeff says no, okay? Because I'm more concerned because Tyson Wheeler was an excellent basketball player. He and you know, the guy that's still playing in the pros was an excellent basketball player, and excellent people. Both of those are excellent people. And but that's the thing, you never know, Monty. I mean, in our city, sometimes we don't get to vote on something like that. Okay, sometimes somebody says, okay, we'll donate this, so we're going to name this after you, or something along that line. But I think that, you know, we definitely have a situation, and we had a man who worked many, many years, because I remember as we shook hands to go into the final interview, Tommy Major and I said, if I don't get it, I hope you get it. And he said to me, if I don't get it, I hope you get it. And he had one advantage over me, despite all the degrees in business, and he had some degree of classes in recreation.
Well, one thing I expressed to somebody recently on this particular topic is that in regards to how Tommy ran the rec department, he was the first guy in and the last guy out. I mean, he was the guy to turn the lights off.
Yes. If not at that, at James Johnson Field, too. I mean, the basketball court, too.
So, I mean, and he did a terrific job.
Oh.
And I also hope that the city is smart enough to find areas and places to recognize coaches Bunicor and Rogers as well. I want to just take a half a step back on the beach. As we move into the warmer months on Monday nights, the beach has a cruise night. They have a car show. It's a lot of fun. After 5 o'clock, entrance to the park is free.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. There you go. And so that'll go on through
September 8th.
Labor Day. And it's on every Monday unless weather shuts it down. But it's a nice social event. There's a lot of neat cars and other things to do. You mentioned Mullen. The rides are open. The golf course is open. And it's a nice way to spend a summer evening on a Monday night. Oh,
it is. And you know, and the people are so unique who have these cars. I mean, the way they talk about them is, you know, that it's got to be exactly this way or such a way. It's really a joy to talk to them. It's just like, yeah, okay, I got a car, I'll start it up. They, you know, have these different ideas. And you know, the beach has so much potential to do many things, okay? And that is one of the things that they do, and they should be credited for it, because it's been running for a long, long, long time, and people have been able to take, you know, great advantage.
Get a soft serve cone and play around the golf and schmooze and see your friends, neighbors.
Now,
it's
golf. Whoa. Golf.
Yes.
We have something coming up in maybe 2 or 3 months that benefits many, many kids.
There we go.
Okay, and
the Kiwanis Club of New London is.
And now, how does one? What can you do? Can you sponsor a hole? Can you sponsor what can you do?
Well, the tournament is September 19th, and we're running. I'm saying probably close to 25 years. This
At
annual
least.
tournament.
I'll have to check my checkbook.
And this is the club's primary fundraiser, which supports all of our charitable giving. As a matter of fact, Mike, last evening at Langley's out at Great Neck Country Club, our club honored 2 scholarship recipients.
That's nice.
And these 2 youngsters each were awarded $3,000 scholarships.
Boy.
And there were 2 others who were going to get them, but they were unable to attend last evening. So we were awarding 4 scholarships at $3,000 apiece. That's $12,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because I know my grandson sponsors the hole.
Yep.
And he loves it. I mean, it's just, you know, he can't play golf because he's not that type. If you put a boxing match in him, he'd do it, but he's not a golfer.
But you ask what we need. We need golfers. We need sponsors.
Right, let's look at it this way. Hold on. You know, and some of the things we just take it that people know what we're talking about. If I wanted to golf, what would it cost?
A player is $175, and that includes your greens fees, your cart, a box lunch going out, and dinner coming in. So that's your base. There are raffles and other prizes on the course.
Now, like you could a hole if you wanted to sponsor a hole.
$100 for a tee sign. And we have on our par 3s. Special sponsorships that are $250, but you get a much bigger sign in the glossy print, and we also have a different levels of player sponsorship combinations.
Surely.
We also need folks to volunteer to help put the thing on.
Mm-hmm.
We have a need for prizes and gifts. So, I mean, sometimes you may go into a business and they may not be, or it may not be policy to give cash or a check.
Yes, they give you something.
Give a gift card or
Yeah.
something along those lines. You know, restaurants tend to be good that way. So,
It's like you said, 20 plus years. It's really a unique situation. Okay, and I see it brings such happiness to the people. Okay, I mean, and you know, you can every minute of your day, if you want, somebody will call you about sponsoring something in a golf event. But this is one that benefits the kids in New London. See, this is what people don't understand. We just sit here and we want to complain about these kids. We want to do this, we want to do that, whatever. What we have to do is get down there and help them, and anything that benefits them. If this allows them to go to a school, maybe a school as opposed to not, or a school a tad better than what, you know what I mean? It's a good situation. And the kids, you know, come back and the kids, you know, tell you about this and tell you about that. And the Kiwanis has always been a wonderful group of individuals in this area. And so again, if you're looking for something, please get involved with this, okay? And just, you know, I think next year, if Marty gets enough money to raise what the scholarship money will be, $3,500 or something like that, those youngsters are going to come back and caddy for people.
that would be nice. That would be nice. Yeah. Well, just the Thursday before the Yale Harvard Regatta, one thing that is another annual affair. It's a joint service club program. It's sponsored by the New London Rotary Club, but it's a joint service club project that includes the Kiwanis and the New London Lions Club. The annual Yale-Harvard Regatta luncheon.
Yes.
And the Yale-Harvard Regatta is the oldest intercollegiate sporting event in the country, and it's right here on the Thames River, New London Grot. I mean, it's amazing, you know, that we have this here. And recent years, this function has been held up at the Coast Guard Academy. Mm-hmm. It's now the Smith Consolidated Hall. It used to be the Officers Club. And it's a terrific lunch. The coaches speak. They have a keynote speaker, and there'll be some other, you know, there's some songs and collegial stuff that's kind of fun. And it's a nice interaction amongst the clubs.
And the people who follow sports now think Ohio State, Michigan is rivalry. No. Yale, Harvard is rivalry.
It is. So that's a lot of fun. And in August, we'll be having we host the annual, it's not an annual, but it's a Service Person of the Month program. That's again,
nice.
It's sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, but each month a different service club in the area hosts one of these.
Good.
We tend to get a Coast Guard winner, and it's an enlisted person. And it's, you know, it gives you a good feeling, the scholarships and the things that we're doing. The service person, you know, the young folks give you hope that we're not going into the abyss.
No, we're not, because of people like you, groups like Kiwanis, groups like all the other groups that take the time to work with these kids. Do the kids get it as fast as before? Maybe, maybe not. But once it works for them, I always remember when I first worked for Roger Bidwell, we had kids come there that had great difficulty academically. And they couldn't play if they didn't pay. So I worked with them and worked with them. Sometimes we told them to read some. And the next thing you know, we had 3.0 college, UConn, GPAs.
Yep.
That's the thing Roger did, you know what I mean? So they could go to any school they wanted. They could go to UConn, or they could go to any school they wanted after going to Avery Point. Some went to some big-time schools and played. And that was the whole situation. Is the kids have got to believe in themselves. And I think the biggest thing that if I ran a school system now, and nobody's ever going to let me, but is very simply, is I would invest a ton of money in reading for the kids.
Well, that's something that our club has been doing for 25 years. Our Reading is Fundamental program.
And also, what people don't understand is If you read a newspaper, or you read a sports magazine, or you read a who's playing this band, or even the words of a music, you're reading something. And all of a sudden, once you get that down, you start to learn other things. Oh, the words are the same in baseball or sports as they are in politics of a certain way. And then all of a sudden, you've read. You have to now, in this world, with all of the competition, with the phones and the computers, read what you like. That's how you learn how to read.
Terrific. I'll tell you something. You're really handicapped if you can't read. I mean, that's it's a must.
I've seen kids get in fist fights so they didn't have to read out loud. And that was the only reason, not that they hated the other person. And this happens.
Yeah. Well, Mike, it's amazing, but when we're together, the time flies.
Well, because you have a good show.
And I appreciate you carving out an hour to come out on the program. Let's. I'm a politician. I like to shake hands.
Okay, well, whatever.
Whatever works. But folks, you've been watching City Focus, and I'm Marty Olsen, your host. And I'm joined tonight with Mike McLaughlin, and we've had a terrific conversation. I want to thank Mike again. Next week, my scheduled guest is beloved Carter, and I'm looking forward to her, what she's been up to. She's run for office a couple of times, and see if she's going to throw her hat back in the ring. We do have local elections this fall for city council and school board. But on that note, we'll say good night, and we'll see you next week.